Enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Saulana Hussainja. Writing a book is by no means an easy task. The passion and commitment are what the winners are made of. However, in this case, precision and facts are critical in the values that emanate. Guidance and mentoring demands gold of patience, and Zamir has had the fortunate experience for over 3 years in this arduous task under a fascinating teacher, none other than Mr. Tissa Devendra, author, juror, and Gration Prize former chairman, Lands and Salaries Commission. The address by mentor, Mr. Tissa Devendra. Can we please have you here, sir?
Venerable Sir, Your Excellency, Ambassador for the Netherlands, distinguished members of the Malay community, Deshabandhu Godage, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure today to address this meeting as one of the people involved in helping young Zamir to write this book. I shall first begin by speaking a few words about the man who produced this book, that is Deshabandhu Godage. Several months ago, I walked into his domain. He hardly knew me. He had published one or two of my father's books earlier. I just walked up to him with young Zamir's, he was in Ukraine, with his script. And I spoke a few words to him and said, this is a young chap who is probably just out of his teens. He has written this book, which I think is excellent. It didn't take him 5 minutes. He said, Ganna Tamai. And he immediately told his catchers to go ahead with publishing the book. I have never met anybody who makes up his mind like that. And we are so impressed by what he saw. So I think we are very happy that we have got Deshabandhu Godage here today and produced this wonderful, very good looking book for all. Then to get on to the main subject, as it were, I am not going to speak very long. There are here a huge long list of people. Another man I have to thank is my dear old friend, dearest and oldest friend for the last 70 years, BDK Saldin, who is somewhere there. And he and I got to know each other, as I said, over 70 years ago. And we've been in touch, and our families have been in touch for a long time. And through them we got to know the Malay community people quite well. So one day young Zamir came to see me and said, Mr. Saldin has told me to come and see you about this Ceylon history part of my book. So I said, let's see the book, and I went through it with him and I said, this needs a lot of revision and a lot of other things. And over the last several months, we sat down together and worked out this book, which I think is a tremendous achievement for a young child. For one thing, it is a history. For another thing, it is up to date. It can be considered as the who's who of the Malay community up to date. Then he gives, I never expected a man to do it, but he has given plenty of, what shall I say, culinary tips and how to cook and how to make sweets and all that kind of thing. And he is also a linguist. He has written a vocabulary, I think, in that book. And not only that, I am proud to say that I got to know this young man. He, I think, knows about 5 or 6 languages, starting with Malay, Sinhalese, Tamil, Russian, Latin, because they need Latin in the East European medical studies. Latin is a must. So I don't know whether that's all. He knows how many other things he may pick up in the course of his year. But what is achievement is at the age of 18 or before 18, he got involved in this. BBK and I, of course, at that age we were involved in watching films. There are no TV, watching films, taking part in University Dramatic Society things, and good time had by all, but no research at all in any way. So we both passed out by the skin of our teeth. Now this young man got inspired, I think, by his maternal grandmother. Stories about her childhood or her background. And he got down to writing the history, I believe, of the Nyonya group, of a subgroup of the Malay community. Apparently there are. Everybody has minorities. Minorities have minorities. So, yeah, he had a very interesting book, very interesting, full of information, absolutely readable, because that is the most important thing. You don't need awful, complicated words. And so we have, I am not going to talk very much more, except to thank Her Excellency for coming today, because the Netherlands have had a very close link and are largely responsible, I wouldn't say the first accused of bringing the Malay community to Sri Lanka. They have come as soldiers, they have been packed off as exiles from Batavia, and they are in various capacities they have been here. So it is very appropriate that Her Excellency has decided to honor this occasion. I won't talk very much more, but except to wish Zamir ever greater success, and thank you for doing so much for your community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tissa Devendra. Well, the long-awaited release has dawned. The community is impatient, awaiting for the hidden secrets of their legacy. The strength of the future lies in this foundation. Who are we? This needs to be reminded, generation to generation. The book, existing as it is a motivator, a friend, a guide, and a shield of armor. Ladies and gentlemen, about this fascinating book with tireless research and the burning of the midnight oil, the author of PERSAUDARAAN, young Saudara Zamir Karim.
Good evening to you all. Dear Most Venerable Gakande Dhammananda Thero, Dr. Saroja Wethasinga, Director, National Archives, Sri Lanka, Her Excellency, the Ambassador of Netherlands, Mrs. Joanne Donner-Ward, Mr. W. Sunil, Director, General, National Libraries and Documentation Services, Colombo, plenipotentiaries from various countries, distinguished guests, academics, members of media, family and friends. May I take this humble opportunity to welcome you all to the launch of my book PERSAUDARAAN, meaning Brotherhood. I'm in awe to witness the collected expertise gathered here today, and I'm most indebted to the Ambassador of Netherlands, seated amidst us in this amiable ambience, despite a hectic schedule to support the Ceylon Malay community. During my hour-long discussion with Madam Ambassador at her office, I realized Her Excellency's genuine interest in conservation, Dutch Malay heritage, and that she is a connoisseur of history and culture. We are gathered here today under the aegis of Ceylon Malay Cricket Association and Colombo Malay Cricket Club at the Colombo Padang Complex, thanks to the scrupulous arrangements organized by the Sri Lanka Malay Association. My sincere thanks goes to Mr. Hussein Joya, President, Sri Lanka Malay Association, the organizing committee, and Mrs. Sabrina Joya, Chairwoman of Research and Documentation Committee. On this special day, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the eminent scholars of history from the Lankan universities for their genuine interest in the book and to have allotted their invaluable time to grace this occasion as honorary guests to acknowledge an important milestone in my life. I would also like to express my appreciation to His Most Venerable Galkande Dhammananda Thero for the strong support and informative background with regard to the scholars of history. PERSAUDARAAN, meaning brotherhood, is penned on the subject of an ethnic minority known as Ceylon Malays, an important entity in the larger framework of nation. This land of eternal charm isn't just home to famed communities such as Sinhalese, Tamils and Moors as portrayed by the international coverage, but it is also home to an intricate network of ethnic minorities who help form the distinctive cultural mosaic of this paradise island. The oversight of the locals and lack of cultural awareness has over the years airbrushed the identities of several ethnic minorities from the minds of the Sri Lankan people. This book, PERSAUDARAAN, delves deep on one such minority, the Sri Lankan Malays, Orang Melayu Sri Lanka, known locally as Jaminisu by the Sinhalese and Jamansur by the Tamils and the Moors. I must say, throughout my childhood, especially during my schooling years at Royal College, Colombo, my ethnic identity as a Sri Lankan Malay has been a topic of intrigue, at times a bone of contention. Before I discuss the history and heritage of Malays, I believe it's a duty vested upon my shoulders to answer the basic questions raised by any Sri Lankan. Who is a Malay in the Sri Lankan context? Are they not Muslims? Where are they from? Etc. The Ceylon Malays trace their ancestry from the Indonesian archipelago, the former Dutch East Indies, and Malayan Peninsula, and are largely descendants of valiant mercenaries, while some trace descent to exiled royalty, courtiers, AD camps, and aristocrats who were banished to Sri Lanka as political convicts during the Dutch colonial era. Howbeit, this Malay element in Lankan cultural tapestry dates back to the 6th century BC, as Sri Lanka has long since established and maintained strong political, cultural, religious links with the Malays, who were adherents of Buddhism and Hinduism until the turn of the 16th century. The conquest led by Chandabanu, invasion stormed by Kalingamaga, the marital alliances between Malay, Java and Lankan royal houses helped exemplify the antecedents of Malays recorded in ancient Lanka. The Kandarode Buddhist temple in Jaffna is a monumental testimony which helps affirm the reign of a Malay king, Chandabanu, over the northern peninsula. Over a checkered history of hundreds of straddling years, the Ceylon Malays have led the nation and have fought and died in both sides of the attritional wars that shaped Ceylon's colonial past. Since the Portuguese era, the heroic deeds of the Malays and their gallant servicers in the local belligerents have defended the local kingdoms from the colonial conquests. During the reign of Nayakar kings, there was a special Malay regiment known as Padikara Perua, meaning paid levies, installed to protect the Vaduga royal family. During the Nayakar period, Malays and Javanese were appointed as local chieftains by Lankan kings, a traditional practice which was later upheld by the colonial powers. This helps corroborate the importance served by the Malays, who were bestowed with hereditary peerages in recognition to their unwavering loyalty and service. It is worthy of mention that the Ceylon Malay Regiment, His Majesty's 1st Regiment, became the first Asian regiment in history to be bestowed with the prestigious King's Colours in 1802 by King George III. Since the 17th century, the population of Malays, Javanese in Ceylon saw a gradual increase, and with the passage of time, they became an important segment in the Lankan society. They were recipients of awards, military honours and service medals for their gallant services and sacrifices in relentless battles such as Anglo-Boers War, British Polygon War, World War I and World War II. Even during the 3-decade-long ghastly battle against the LTTE, our Malay soldiers paid their ultimate sacrifice in defense of Lankan sovereignty and territorial integrity. The memorial plaque in tribute to the fallen soldiers is erected in this very place where we have gathered today to celebrate the launch of my book, PERSAUDARAAN. Our Sri Lankan Malays, ethnic Malays. The Ceylon Malays hail from different islands of the Dutch East Indies and Malaya. Howbeit, based on the study of ethnic makeup of this immigrant population, the term Malay is without a scintilla of doubt a misnomer. The settlement of Malays in Ceylon primarily took place during the Dutch era. and the Dutch referred to them as Javanum or Vrem de Oosterlin, meaning foreign Easterners. Throughout the colonial era, the Malays held important positions in bureaucracy and security services and became the most educated of the native groups, second only to the Dutch burghers. During the Dutch era, the Malays, besides their role as mercenaries, they were appointed as overseers of cinnamon plantations, native aide-de-camp to governors, political advisors, and as translators, thanks to their command over European languages. Despite the anglicized background which propelled their rise, Malays have always presented a staunch Muslim appearance and were patrons, donors, and trustees of several mosques erected across the nation. Are Malays Muslims? Unlike the rest of the world, the term Muslim in Sri Lanka is given an ethnic connotation, but the Muslim community in Sri Lanka is so diverse and it encompasses ethnic groups such as Ceylon Malays, Ceylon Moors, Indian Moors, Bohras, Maimans, Khojars, and Baha'is, yet all co-adherents of Islam. The ancestors of the present-day Ceylon Malays were Hindus, Buddhists, and animists, and the cultural practices, traditions, folklore, and rituals stands witness to their polytheistic roots. Today, most Malays are devout Muslims. However, cultural identity should never be conflated with the religious identity of an individual. What distinguishes a Malay from other Muslims? Unfortunately, the connotation Muslim has tactfully wiped off the individual ethnic identities of Sri Lankans. The Malays are proud to have preserved their quintessential language, known globally as Sri Lankan Malay, Bahasa Melayu Sri Lanka, categorized as an endemic language of this island. Those who hail from Dutch East Indies were Javanese, Maduris, Sundanese, Balanese, Bandanese, Makassaris, Tithuris, etc. by ethnicity. And they spoke a diverse group of languages. Eventually, as for the sake of communication and convenience, a trade lingo, a pidgin, developed, and it eventually became the lingua franca of Ceylon Malays. Besides their linguistic identity, Malays also have their distinctive forms of clothing, such as kabaya, baju Melayu, baju kurung, etc., and a characteristic headgear, worn by some here today, known as the Sangan Kupala or Songko, worn by the males. The musical instruments such as Rabana and Angklung were also introduced to the isle by the Malay forefathers. Such uncommon features have deemed the Sri Lankan Malay community as one of the most culturally rich ethnic minorities living in the island. Honorable Dr. Tuan Branuddin Jaya, the first Muslim minister, and Justice Mas Tajon Akbar, the first Muslim peon, and Dr. M.P. Drahaman are few notable Malay statesmen who have stamped their identity as prolific leaders of the country. The Malays, as part of the country's heterogeneous Muslim community, have erected several mosques and ecclesiastical homes for the betterment of Muslim brotherhood. The Dutch forts, built across the nation, also reverberates the lost memoirs of Ceylon Malays who helped in the construction of these impregnable fortresses. Interestingly, Malay exiles were also held captive in these very fortresses built by the Dutch VOC. The coat of arms of Trincomalee during the Dutch period shows a Lascaring Javanese soldier holding a sword and a pike, which can be seen even to this day at Fort Frederick. Alas, today the colonial structures are left to ruin, ravaged and to be lost forever, thanks to the negligence of the locals. As we delve deep into the history concerning the etymology of places, such as Hampantota, derived from Sampantota, Sampan meaning the skiff or a boat, and Tota referring to an anchorage, Javatta, Jagama, Jakotua, Jaela, Kartel, also the Sri Island region, Kinnia, Sammanture, Bandagiriya, Bolana, Kasimgama, Akbar town, Chavakacheri, derived from Javaka meaning Javanese, Kote meaning fortress, and even Jaffna, Yalpanam, Java, Pattinam, which is derived from Jaffna is derived from Java Pattinam, which is a settlement of Javanese. It is evident that the names of these places were either derived from Malay literature or named in memory of Sri Lankan Malays. The wide range of Lankan delicacies such as Malay pickle, nasi goreng, daging chuka or vinegared beef, satay, the skewered beef, watalapang, also known as surkaya by the Malays, dodol, china kue, pastol, aliataram, bibikang cake, and many more were introduced to this nation by the Malays. The famous katta sambol is of Malay origin. The term sambol is derived from the word champur, meaning mixture in the Malay language. As per the research of the acclaimed Indian food historian, nutritionist and oil chemist Dr. K.T. Acharya, the much sought after idli is also from the Indonesian archipelago, which has had a long tradition of fermented foods like tempeh, fermented soy cakes, ketchup, fermented fish sauce, and something called kedli, the precursor to the modern idli. To further testify Acharya's contention, the Chinese chronicler and explorer Zhongzhang in 17th century AD categorically stated that there were no steaming vessels available in India at the time of his pilgrimage. Acharya also writes that the cooks who accompanied the Hindu kings of Indonesia between the period of 800 to 1200 AD brought fermentation and steaming methods and their dish kedli, which eventually became idli in South India. The sarung, including the batik textiles, the jewels, dagger, kris, 7-loop chain, the mala hatha, and padakkama that adorns the attire worn by Kandy Nilames, are